Butch and Bob Show.
World famous Butch and Bob Show right here on WIFO 105.5 FM, Big Dog Country Radio. Morning, Bob. How's it going?
It's going good.
I saw that picture yesterday. Leanne showed it to me of your picture with Kirby Smart there with a big old smile on your face.
I told you, Christmas came late for me. That was a thrill.
I mean, you had your Georgia hoodie on. You had your red Georgia shoes on.
That's right.
You were Georgia out, man. You had Georgia all over you.
Kirby liked my shoes.
He liked your shoes.
I just thank Coach Shaw and Coach McDonald for giving me that opportunity. Like I said, he came in to talk to Tavion Wallace, and he's on the recruiting trail. Helicopter came in, so had a chance to talk to him for a good 5-10 minutes, but I enjoyed it. It was fun.
You know, I heard on TOC about the him coming in. He came in on this helicopter to Savannah and met with several of the athletes there. Right. They didn't say anything about him coming down here to Jesup, so I'm sure that when he was down this way, that helicopter was hitting several high schools here in southeast Georgia.
Apparently, he flew in somewhere, and then he got the helicopter and made about several stops. I know he went to Brunswick, he went to Savannah, went to Evans. So he's hot on the recruiting trail.
Yeah.
But, talked to Tavion at the banquet, asked him how the visit went, and Tavion said it went extremely well. So Tavion's, possibly got my fingers crossed. I keep telling Tavion I'll hook him up. I got red and black stuff he can wear for months.
If you want to be with a winner with a chance to win the national championship and be close enough where your family and friends can come see him, go to Athens, Georgia.
The linebacker coach, Glenn Schumann, was with Kirby, like I said, and I talked to Schumann. They said on ESPN that everybody he's coached, that it's first string, second strings in the NFL, and I asked if that was true. He said all but one person he's coached is in the NFL since he's been at Georgia. So hopefully they made an impact. And I said it'd be nice to see Tavion play for his hometown, but he's got so many offers. Like I said,
he's got lots of offers.
He can go anywhere he wants to go. He's got to pick.
What position does he play?
Linebacker. But he's got another season. Like I said, he's just a junior.
Yeah,
so
he's got one more. He's got senior season to go there, so some time to make a decision there. But pick Georgia.
It's a great time for the Wally. Like I said, his oldest brother Trevin is leaving Kentucky and going to the NFL draft. So it's going to be fun to watch him at the NFL combines on TV.
Watch a Jesup guy there in the NFL next year.
Right, man. He's a very talented athlete. So
yeah,
his stock, like I said, they've got him projected anywhere from late first round to early third
round.
What
position does he play?
He plays linebacker as well.
Linebacker also. Okay.
I got a younger brother, Titus, supposed to be best of them all. So.
Yeah, the younger brother's the best of them all.
That's what the family.
He's going to be in the halls, huh?
That's what the family says. So
he's learning from his bigger brothers.
Trevin told me Tavion was very. I tell that story all the time. When Trevin came back his first year after Kentucky, he played his freshman year. He came to watch the spring game, and he told me that Tavion was going to be better than he was. I didn't believe him.
All right. Well, we got Blake Tillery on the phone. We'll have him on in just a moment. Hold on, folks.
South Georgia weather.
Here's your WIFO forecast.
Good morning, everyone. Coming out of the deep freeze and into some warmer temperatures the rest of this week. We've got cloudy skies today with a slight chance of a shower and highs in the mid and upper 60s. Another slim chance of rain tonight and tomorrow for Wednesday. A little patchy fog early, partly sunny, and a high closer to 70. Thursday, partly sunny, slim chance of rain in the afternoon, highs mid-70s. I'm Georgia meteorologist Laura Huckabee in the GNN Weather Center.
And welcome to the world famous Butch and Bob Show. It's Tuesdays with Tillery. We've got State Senator Blake Tillery on the phone with us. Blake, how you doing?
Hey, Bob and Butch, welcome back.
Yeah, glad to have Butch back. Glad to have Butch and Bob Show back, but we got you. Didn't get a chance to talk to you last week. A lot went on. Let's start with the state address. That's always a big event. You get to be on hand for that. The governor laid out his agenda for the legislative session, so give us the highlights.
Heck, that's 2 weeks ago, Bob. I don't know how to remember anymore. Don't tell me.
You don't remember? You're the right-hand man. You got the budget.
The problem is, that 450-page budget book they handed me the minute it ended kind of took all the air out of my sails.
I got you.
So you're still handling the budget, is that right?
Yes, sir. I chair the Appropriations Committee
Right.
here. But the big thing the governor laid out were things you've already heard him talk about. expediting the income tax reduction, making Georgia more competitive on that front. You know, when I came to the Senate 8 years ago, the state income tax was 6%. That's still pretty darn low compared to what you have on your federal level. Most folks are sitting in the 20s, if not higher. So Georgia's is relatively low by that comparison, but the governor and the legislature have been working to lower that considerably. Right now we sit at 5.49%. We're going to go down, accelerate that to 4.39, do it a little bit quicker than was projected, on our way down to 4.99. But there's some proposals out here to get that down where I think the legislature's going is eventually to 3%, which will be half of what it was. We want to cut them in half.
And what's that going to do for the average Georgian, other than obvious saving money?
Yes, that will basically, it's a policy decision by the legislature that we think folks spend their money better than the government spends it. So if you were making $50,000, the old tax rate was 6%, you're going to spend slightly more than $2,500, about $3,000 in taxes. That would be now cut in half to about $1,500 in income taxes. Our plan's not to raise any other tax at the same time. We're not going to raise sales tax. A lot of folks have asked us if we would just accelerate down with income tax and put the sales tax on instead, but the math doesn't work out on that quite right. You wouldn't be raising a penny. You'd be raising the state sales tax probably more like a dime, and that, I don't think that's feasible for a lot of folks in our area. So we're going to keep marching, squeezing pennies where we can, and keep marching that income tax lower and lower.
You mentioned the budget, but the governor has all that reserve money. They just gave all the teachers a bonus. You can't use any of that money to help with the budget?
Well, remember, that's one-time money. So you've got a savings account that has $16 billion in it, but you've got a state budget that's about $36 billion. So every year we collect and spend between $36 and $37 billion. So that 16, while it's good to have for rainy days and poor occasions, it's only about 6 months of state spending. So when you've got the number of state employees that we have, state patrol officers, DOT employees, teachers, even state retirees and others who are counting on that check each month, you want to make sure you have a little bit of reserves. And while it is a big number, $16 billion is a big number, it's only about 50% of state spending. If the revenue sources were cut off, that would make it about 6 months.
Now, we had the exit issues. Buddy Carter talked about this, or Buddy DeLoach, talked about this anti-Semitism bill. We had a story on that today. I understand there were some protesters up there, but it was a unanimous vote, bipartisan vote. So do you see that passing this year? I know they've talked about it in several years in the past, but is that something you see passing?
So when I left here about 6:30 last night, the Senate Judiciary Committee was still debating that bill. They had the room was full. I used to be on Judiciary. I tell you what, last night was one of those days when you were glad you weren't, because they had two bills concerning that topic, and it was quite a heated debate back and forth. I stand with Israel. I think they have a right to defend themselves. I'm predisposed that way from my upbringing and my religion. But I think that any country has the right to defend itself if attacked. So I don't know what language you'll see that eventually passes. The argument here is that it creates a thought crime. And thought crimes, we usually only penalize things that people do, not what they think. Thought is not yet a crime. That's part of the argument of some of the opponents. Others is they just hate Israel. So I clearly don't stand with those folks who oppose Israel. Will it make it through this time? I'm sure in some shape, form, or fashion. It looked like last night that at least the Senate and the House had an aversion that they agreed on. Whether or not all the members of the Senate and all the members of the House agreed on it, I'm not sure.
Just joining us, we're on the phone with State Senator Blake Tillery. It's Tuesdays with Tillery up there in Atlanta legislative session. Going around town, one thing I've heard from several people was they were surprised that the governor backed up on tort reform. A lot of people thought that was going to take place. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that he and the legislature, a lot of other people, I can't put words in his mouth, but what a lot of people were looking for is to see what it's going to do to insurance rates, and they don't want to necessarily make a change that takes away a right from Georgians if insurance rates aren't going to fall after that passage. And they're waiting on assurances that that would happen and hadn't gotten them yet. But I'm carrying a bill that is a tort reform bill. It's a direct action bill, which is something that we talked about with some of the insurers after exit issues there. It has the support of the lieutenant governor, has the support of most of the insurance industry. I think they might have been a little surprised to see me carry it. But listen, when folks are willing to be reasonable, we can find solutions that work. Problem happens most years. Folks come down here and they want to do a bill, maybe not on tort, but on something else that only benefits 10 or 12 people, doesn't benefit 10 or 12 million people, and that's always going to run into problems. But I think I've got a direct action bill that has a good chance of making it. And again, I think it's the number 1 or number 2 priority of the Georgia Chamber. That's not why I'm carrying it, but they were wanting it for tort reform purposes. So maybe they'll be able to like it too. Who knows?
You mentioned you're dealing with the budget. You meet with these department heads and they go over their budget individually with you. How's that work? How's the budget process work?
Yeah. So I got in a little late this morning. Don't tell everybody. It was about 7 or 7:15. But usually we start with meetings in my office either 6:30 or 7, and it's each department head about 15 to 20 minutes. They don't have very long because you have so many. You got roughly 30 agencies and departments of agencies, 30 to 35 of those. So they'll bring their proposals, what they think matters for them. They've already had their budget combed through by the governor and the executive branch of OPB. And then the legislature gets to put its stamp on it. Right now the House is, this is their time in the sun. They're up to the plate right now. And we're kind of sitting on deck waiting. They'll have to pass out the budget first. But our work, we don't sit on our hands and wait on them to finish before we get started. We're running through it every day. There's lots of new spending in areas that folks would probably generally support. Infrastructure. There's about $250 million that's in the Jesup program, the Georgia Environmental Finance Agency, which deals with water and sewer pipes, things we got to do for infrastructure because of the growth we're seeing, particularly in our area. There's $1.5 billion in the governor's proposal for new transportation initiatives. There's $500 million to essentially pay down state liabilities. So we've got a surplus, like you mentioned. What we need to do is pay our bills early. We've got some pension debts and some other liabilities like workers' comp and other premise liabilities issues that are sitting out there. We need to go take care of those. There's about $88 million to do improvements just at university system buildings, on top of probably another $100 to $200 million of investments in our current buildings. The reason you'd want to do that is what the lifespan of a building is going to be when the state builds it. Hopefully, it's 50 to 70 years. But if you don't keep that roof up, you don't keep that HVAC up, then you destroy the building. So a lot of maintenance projects that need to be done to prolong the life of buildings and infrastructure to save money in the long run. There's not a whole lot of new programs in this budget, which is good. I don't think the government should be looking for new programs. There is a big investment in state employees. Our two biggest expenses are buildings and employees. And as we talked about at Exit Issues, they're seeing, our state employees are seeing record high inflation. We talked about the percent the federal government says it is, 8 or 9. Chick-fil-A says it's 20 based on their price raises. I think people, when they're going shopping for groceries, they think it's 22. So the raises we've been able to do for state employees over the past few years, those haven't even kept up with inflation. Not to mention what folks, you don't have to be a state employee to feel that. So that's why we're also trying at the same time to drop the state income tax rate so that everybody's able to have more money in their pockets to battle century-high inflation.
Yeah, and we'll let you go on this. Mentioned the anti-Semitism. Was any other heated debates coming up in the legislature on any of the bills that we know of?
Yesterday wasn't a bill. There was a heated discussion about abortion. I'm very pro-life. Y'all know that with our work that Ashley Nicole and I have done on foster care and adoption. That was probably one of the saddest times I think I've had in the Senate so far. I won't debate that or go through much more of that or belabor the point much longer, but if you want to see a really sad time, yesterday morning's debate in the Senate, that wasn't on a bill, it was really just on something called points of personal privilege, was truly sad to see the lack of lack of concern for life. And that worries me about the future of our country.
And Blake, always good to talk to you on Tuesdays with Tillery. Again, appreciate you calling in, and we'll look forward to talking to you next Tuesday.
Thanks. If anybody has any other questions, most of you have got my cell phone number. It's 912-245-9915. You're more than welcome to call. If you're going to be up here in Atlanta, let us know. And also, we haven't filled all our paid spots for this year yet. So if you have a student, a child, grandchild in the area who wants to come up here and page for the day, it has to be over 12 years old. They get Chick-fil-A lunch and get to spend some time seeing how the legislature actually works and be a part of the Senate process. So give us a call. We'd be happy to plug them in.
Sounds good, Blake. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you very much, Senator.
All right, Senator Blake Tillery right here on Big Dog Country Radio, WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup. Another guest coming up on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show in a moment. Stay tuned right here on 105.5 FM. WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio, WIFO FM. We continue on with the world-famous Butch and Bob Show here on WIFO. And there's going to be a program going on today at Omaha Steak and Seafood. It's concerning artificial intelligence. And no, it doesn't have anything to do with me and Bob. It has to do with a very important artificial intelligence seminar that's been going on today. And the keynote speaker is Julianne Thompson, and she is our special guest this morning here on the Butch and Bob Show. Good morning, Julianne.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
And tell us a little bit about what this fast approaching dominance of artificial intelligence seminar is going to be about.
Well, we're really excited to be here. I'm actually down here with my husband doing a tour of South Georgia, talking about some of the dangers that are involved with AI. And my husband, who is the Republican National Committee man that represents the state of Georgia on the RNC, he's talking about political issues. But I'm going to be talking about some of the dangers of AI. I'm not here to bash technology. I'm not here to discredit the need for artificial intelligence in certain circumstances. Of course, we all have some sort of cell phone. We all have a smart device. We use Siri. We use Alexa. So we use artificial intelligence, and it can provide a lot of benefits to our lives. But there are some dangerous things that are going on in the world of AI right now, and some of those things are going to be what I touch on today.
And let me give folks a little bit of background on Julianne Thompson and her expertise in this area. Julianne Thompson is a Republican messaging strategist with expert on political trends, a well-respected coalition builder. She formerly served as communications director in the United States House of Representatives and was press secretary of the Georgia Republican Party. She currently serves as president of Main Street Network Strategies. And so your expertise is in that area. So why have a seminar on artificial intelligence? What's the concern? Why should people be interested and informed about it?
Well, just to give you a few examples, of course, we all know what is going on regarding AI with AI-generated weaponry and some of the issues going on with our worst enemies, like the People's Republic of China. And, of course, what's going on with the Chinese Communist Party and the way that they are using artificial intelligence regarding their weapons and regarding neurostrike weapons and just a lot of dangerous things going on with regard to China and Russia. So we're talking a little bit about that, but what we're really focusing on is the dangerous aspects of some types of AI that's affecting us in our everyday life. I mean, here in Georgia, we are fortunate to have a lot of the entertainment industry that has come to Georgia. Sometimes we're not so fortunate that some of them have brought a lot of their voting values with them, but we're fortunate to have a lot of them here in Georgia and to bring the commerce that they've brought in here. And one of those issues regarding AI that is affecting people on both sides of the political aisle, which I think is something that both sides can really agree on, is the fact that intellectual property, whether it's your what you are writing, whether it is your vocal imprint, whether it is your image. Those things are actually being stolen by companies and they use artificial intelligence to duplicate people's voices and duplicate people's images. And in some cases, they're stealing those vocals and they're creating songs, they're creating videos where it appears to be one person is singing, but they're actually not. They're using and stealing vocals from another person. And so we're talking about that because not only is that happening in the entertainment industry, that is basically theft, but if that can happen in the entertainment industry, it can happen to anyone. And I'm sure a lot of people have seen some of the Equalizer movies. They've seen the Equalizer television show. One of the episodes of the Equalizer actually had a situation where AI had taken the voice and the image of a person and framed them for a crime, showed a video of that person's face, of that person's body, and their voice committing a crime and tried to frame them that way. That's not just science fiction. That can actually happen. And so what we're trying to do is talk about some of these issues that are on the forefront of what is happening in society with regard to AI, and we're looking for solutions. Senator Marsha Blackburn is spearheading a piece of legislation in the in the United States Senate where she is talking about vocal copyright and image copyright, which is something that we're definitely behind. We have a coalition of voters that is made up of several different organizations called the Capital Coalition of Conservative Leaders, and we collectively represent over 1 million Georgians. So when it comes to federal legislation, we're looking at Marsha Blackburn's legislation, and we are hoping to work with several people in our state legislature, in the House and Senate, on legislation that would pertain here to Georgia.
Okay. So you've got this, for no other word, a seminar today that's going to be held at Omaha Steak and Seafood beginning at 11:30 this morning. It's a Dutch treat. And you'll be speaking. Julianne Thompson will be the keynote speaker who's talking to us right now. Why should people attend? What are they going to receive from this seminar today?
Well, they should attend because they want to get involved in the political process, in the issues that affect their everyday lives. When you sit at your kitchen table, you talk about issues like the economy, you talk about issues like public safety, what's best for your family, what's best for their future. And the best way to personally get involved and make changes, positive changes that are going to affect your life, is to get involved in the political process, to get yourself educated on issues that are important to your family. We're going to be presenting on some of those issues today, and the best way for people to be able to get involved with legislation and to be able to mobilize and actually make a difference for their family at the state capitol and at our national capital as well.
Now, you hear on a national level right now with some of the campaign that is going on, there's been a lot of robo-calling from candidates that are not really them. You know, they'll say, "Hi, this is so-and-so and so-and-so, and, I need for you to go vote for this or support this or whatever," and it's not really their voice. And so it's people just got to be careful on what they see and listen to today. You know, the movies that we saw years ago about the future, like The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he was framed for a crime which did not commit. We're seeing that today with some of the artificial intelligence of people being able to put together video and audio that looks as real as a real video or audio. And so you just got to be careful on the things that you see, listen to, and hear, and what you can trust.
Well, that's exactly right. And you also have to be careful what you say on the phone. Like you said, there are robocalls going out that are not really the person, and sometimes giving out false information. Another thing that's happening to people, I think that everybody needs to be aware of, when you pick up the phone, some people answer the phone yes. Don't answer the phone yes. Always answer hello. If you're asked, "Is this so-and-so?" Don't answer, "Yes, it is." Say, "Who's calling, please?" Because what they're doing is there are certain nefarious people that have the goal of using your voice to basically commit thievery. And sometimes when you say yes, they record that yes and they use it as your permission to purchase certain things or to be members of certain clubs which force you to purchase things. Also, they can vocally imprint your voice, and I'm sure you've heard horror stories about people who have received a call from their wife or a call from their child saying that they've been in a car accident, which is not really their child, but they think it is because they vocally imprinted that child's voice and used artificial intelligence to make a audio recording and then call the person, which scares the parent or scares the spouse. They leave the home to go tend to their child or their spouse, and they're robbed while they're gone. This is actually
they're robbed, or they're asked to send money to get and stuff like that. Bob and I, neither one of us have social media, so you don't have to worry about us being. Some of these companies get the audio and the video and stuff out from social media, so you just have to be very careful on what you put on there. So people can go to this seminar today, and you're listening here to Julianne Thompson, keynote speaker today on the fast approaching dominance of artificial intelligence. It's going to be today, starting at 11:30 at Omaha Steak and Seafood. There on First Street in Jesup. It's a Dutch treat if you want to eat. The seminar will be going on, and you can learn about what we need to be concerned about with artificial intelligence. It's a growing problem for everyone.
Yes, it is, and we welcome everyone to attend, and we're looking forward to seeing everyone. Bob,
questions or comments for her?
I just wonder if you address TikTok, because you mentioned China. They say China's getting all their information from everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, because TikTok is owned by China, and people use it left and right.
That's exactly right. Of course, I think the vast majority of adults that you talk to are going, and when I say adults, I mean really people over 25, are going to tell you that TikTok is a danger. Although there are certain aspects of TikTok that can be used for advertising, there's a lot of dangerous things that happen as a result of TikTok. But you talk to anyone under 25, especially, I mean, I have a 19-year-old son who goes to Georgia Southern, and he is on TikTok all the time, and so are all of his friends. And, my son is fairly politically astute and gets his news off of reputable sites and reputable programs, but there are a lot of kids that get their news off TikTok and truly believe a lot of the disinformation that is on there. So it is most certainly concerning, and something that I hope that is addressed very soon.
Yeah, it's got to be a credible news organization for you to halfway believe it. If it's just something that you read, see, or hear on social media, the people behind that's got an agenda of some sort, and you just got to be extremely careful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so you'll be speaking today at 11:30 is what time it all begins at Omaha Steak and Seafood, Dutch Treat, at 11:30, and the program begins at 12 noon. Julianne Thompson will be there talking about the fast approaching dominance of artificial intelligence. And it's something all of us need to be concerned about as the technology is moving forward faster than governments, state and national, can keep up with laws to keep it reined in.
Well, that's exactly right. And if you're looking at the current evolutionary trajectory of artificial intelligence, it's quite scary. I mean, when you have the creator of ChatGPT, and the actual creator of ChatGPT testified before Congress that if artificial intelligence continues going on its current trajectory and evolving the way that it is, that it could actually, and these were his words, that it could pose a threat as far as even human extinction goes. So that's not something that's a conspiracy theory. That's not something, way out that I'm saying or that anyone else is saying. That is actually from the creator of ChatGPT,
That's when you pull the plug.
the father of artificial intelligence here in the United States.
That's when you pull the plug right there. Cut off the power, cut them off. Oh, but it is. It's a subject that you read more and more about, and you listen to, and you see more and more about when it comes to artificial intelligence. Even some of you just mentioned the guy with ChatGPT, Elon Musk, other folks that are involved in that type of industry continue to point out some of the dangers of artificial intelligence. And we're talking on a major scale there, even on the minor, what we talked about a few moments ago that can affect people on a personal level are things that people just need to be aware of, and that would be good to be able to go to this seminar today, beginning at 11:30 with the Dutch Street, and then the program begins at 12 noon at Omaha Steak and Seafood on First Street in Jesup. Listen and see Julianne Thompson speak about this, and you can ask questions and get all the latest information on it.
Thank you.
Bob, any other questions for it all? That's it? That's it. All right. You have a good day. Bob,
Thanks
I
so
think
much.
we're wrapped up. All right. All right, the world-famous Butch and Bob Show right here on WIFO, 105.5 FM in Jesup. And it's brought to you by O'Quinn & Associates, Murphy Builder Supply, Vans Barbecue, and First Southern Bank.